That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. Today we'll be talking about JLA 1 million. Now this is interesting. This is part of Grant Morrison's Justice League run I've never read. As you can see, there's no number on the side. All the other volumes of Grant Morrison's Justice League run have a number, and it doesn't like skip a number. It's 1 through 6, I believe. This takes place right in the middle of his run. Why wouldn't you just put it in his run? It's a weird decision. It just is a very, very weird decision to make. But that's just the beginning of the problems with this collection. So this is a weird place to start on a review, because overall I quite enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty fun. But most of my complaints about it are related to the way in which it's collected. So the general premise of JLA 1 million is, what year would it conceivably be for if DC was able to continuously publish forever? What year would it be when they released their 1 millionth issue of any book? You know, Action Comics just got to issue 1000, and it's been 80 years. So how long would it take to get to issue 1 million? And so JLA 1 million is set in the DC universe of whatever year that would actually be, which is the 853rd century. And it's about the Justice League of that era, called the Justice Legion A, going back in time to gather the current JLA and bring them to the future to perform feats in celebration of the original Superman, returning to the universe because he spent the last several centuries inside of a sun in his new Fortress of Solitude. So it's this really, really far out, weird-ass premise. It's crazy as shit. It's the perfect thing for Grant Morrison to write. It really is. Grant Morrison understands the power of myths and the power of legends and stories, and does a great job applying the idea of mythic, convoluted-ass, crazy, epic storytelling throughout time, and understanding that will always have a place in human history. But here's the thing. So at the end of the first issue, the JLA goes to this planet, or to the future, in order to perform these feats for the Justice Legion. But you get to the end of the first issue. Maybe you do. You get to the end, and suddenly a bunch of the crises that the Justice League have to deal with start happening, and it's the Justice League of the present switches places with the Justice League of the future. Justice League switches places with the Justice Legion. So the Justice Legion stays in their past, our present, in order to take care of anything that may happen while the Justice League is gone. And so you get to the end of this first section, and then you just start getting stuff like this. And these happen consistently throughout the book. You'll just get these little sections. So once the Justice League leaves at the very beginning of this, it is forever and a day until they are back. Like the proper, Superman, Batman, all them. I'm trying to find the spot. Okay, here we go. From the time Superman and Batman and company leave till the time they come back, that's the section. So here we go, where the Justice League is meeting the Justice Legion and talking about everything. here's all this story that's happening in between, and here's when the Justice League that we know and love is back. All this stuff in between, like, it's not like there's no story happening with the Justice League we know and love in the future. We're just told it in these little summation boxes. And I'm assuming there's probably another collection out there called DC 1 Million or something like that that's meant to complement this. This is a bad collection. And DC had a lot of this back in their initial trades. That's just, there's no way around it. DC has always had trouble doing collections. I think they've gotten a lot better at it in recent years. I've heard mostly good things about the Nightfall collections. I thought the No Man's Land and Cataclysm and Road to No Man's Land collections were pretty good, though maybe could have used some more reordering. But just, man, DC used to be terrible at collections where they just, oh, well, no one will pay that much for it, so we're just gonna cut some issues out and put that in another book. Why? You're getting half the story. So that's what you're really getting here, is you're getting half a review, because I only know half the story, because I really don't know what the fuck the Justice League was up to in the future. Like, I get the general outline of it, but it's so obscure, and it loses some of its impact. But okay, on to the more positive things that I did enjoy about the book. So I just love the wacky craziness and just charmingly stupid but undeniably cool sounding ideas that get thrown out for what the Justice Legion A are and what the future's like. And so it's not just the Justice League of Earth anymore. It's the Justice League of the Sol system. Our solar system. Every planet in our solar system has been colonized by humans and aliens alike, I suppose. And they are now, like, leading the way. In reality, they're saving the day now. And each member of the Justice Legion is from a different planet. So I'm going to try to see if I can remember all these. Okay. So you have the Flash of the Justice Legion, who protects Mercury. You have the Wonder Woman of the Justice Legion, who's carved out of marble and whose Amazons colonized Venus. You have the Superman of the Justice Legion, who of course protects Earth. I believe, it's Hourman protects Mars, Aquaman protects Neptune, Starman has a citadel orbiting around Jupiter, and Batman is the warden of the insane asylum planet Pluto. Pluto's a planet, bitch. 'Cause Batman 1 million says it is. Bitch. So yeah, it's just like, that is so unbelievably stupid in the most beautiful comic book way possible. And I love it for that. And there's all kinds of cool stuff. The thing I love the most is the villain of this arc. Grant Morrison creates one of the most whack, crazy, over-the-top, what kind of villains you could possibly imagine in the form of Solaris, the sentient solar computer. And I adore Solaris for just being fucking bananas. It's insane. You get a whole issue here where one of the metal men, the metal woman, I suppose you should say, goes through and chronicles the history of the Supermen and their relation to Solaris, and like everything he's done, and it's fucking bonkers in the best possible way, and I love it to death and back. It's too cool. Platinum is the name of her. So yeah, she goes through the whole story chronicling the existence of Solaris and his constant rivalry with the House of L. And there's just like these beautiful little nuggets throughout here that crack me the fuck up, where for a time Solaris turned good after the Superman of the 553rd century went into him, reprogrammed him for good and obedience, and died in the effort. And then Solaris tried to serve humanity for a number of years and formed different super teams, trying to prove himself as just as valuable a superhero as Superman. Unlike the Superman, there was a part of Solaris champion that never seemed completely altruistic. Even so, Solaris became a very influential power. In an epoch veering towards universal paranoia and instability, he formed the Pan-Cosmic Justice Jihad, whose aggressive agenda included preemptive strikes against worlds considered potential threats to the system. Many were the supergroups formed under his auspicious, perhaps best remembered, is the Legion of Executive Familiars, whose beastly members included Solaris' Sun Dogs, Octus the 8th Dimensional Cephalopod, Wormhole, and Crypto to the 9th Power. This is fucking bananas, guys, and I love it. I love it to death. It's the best thing ever. Guys, Octus the 8th Dimensional Cephalopod. Octus the 8th Dimensional Cephalopod. Where does he come up with this shit? It is the definition of too good. We don't deserve a book this good. That's the real reason why DC didn't collect it properly. It would have been too much brilliance for your minds to handle. Oh man. Grant Morrison is Mjolnir. I love it to death. Oh, it's so good. And then there was the other line. And what of Solaris? With the return of the Superman Prime and the spread of the Great Revival, a long age of xenophobia had ended. Public opinion gradually turned against the brutal methods of the Pan-Cosmic Justice Jihad and Solaris' reactionary agenda. I want to read that sentence again. Public opinion gradually turned against the brutal methods of the Pan-Cosmic Justice Jihad and Solaris' reactionary agenda. It's beautiful, and I love it, and it's beautiful. So anyway, the Justice League of Earth has to come up with a way to defeat Solaris, who seems to have all the cards stacked in his favor. It's kind of cool the way they talk about this. I gotta find the Huntress section. Hold on. Because I like the way that they're dealing with this problem and the way Huntress talks about it. It's kind of neat. Damn it. I need to bookmark these things or something. I need to do a better job. Because I hate flipping through stuff. Okay. Solaris is immensely more powerful in our time. Your teammates will not be able to withstand his attacks. Our only hope, the system's only hope, is a time machine powerful enough for deep time travel. You underestimate the Justice League. Your people are strong and courageous, but this monster Solaris has a weapon to destroy Superman Prime and snuff out our century's sun. He's cast plans like nets through centuries, manipulated allies across eons. All the advantages are his. Not necessarily. Wally and others will be like caveman against a jet fighter squadron. John, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Mr. Fox. Huntress? It's fighting, but it's just a different kind of fighting. I have an idea on how to save the future. And her plan is, you have nothing but time to think out every solution, every situation, and defeat Solaris, and set your traps millennia in advance. And so that's kind of what they do. The Justice League's stranded in the future, and they have to find a way to take on Solaris, and since the Green Lantern Corps hasn't been heard of in centuries, Solaris doesn't recognize Kyle Rayner's ring. Kyle's able to sneak inside Solaris, and... oh god, this is too cool. He won't expect us to dare attempt this in a populated system. You have to increase his mass, destabilize his core, and create a supernova. Wait a minute, a supernova? Like the sun blowing up? Batman, no way is the ring powerful enough to hold down an exploding sun. I can't do it. Yes, you can. The ring does whatever you think, doesn't it? Trust me, Green Lantern, and think big. So Kyle adds to Solaris's mass, destabilizing him, creating the effects of a supernova, and then he fucking contains it? Which is just cool as shit. And this is the exact reason I want Grant Morrison to write Green Lantern. Because of shit like that. That's awesome. He gets help from Superman 1,000,000. But that's fucking Kyle. That's fucking Kyle right there, bro. That's fucking Kyle. But it seems too late. Because Solaris has a chunk of kryptonite, and he sends it into Earth's sun, where, if you'll remember, the original Superman, Superman Prime, has been waiting for generations to come out, and has not been exposed to kryptonite in centuries, so it is most likely going to be incredibly lethal. Solaris, as a last-ditch effort, shoots a piece of kryptonite into Earth's sun, and it looks like Superman might be dead, but, as Hunter said, the Justice League had centuries to plan this. And so, instead of kryptonite buried on Marz for Solaris' allies to find, they hid the world's or the universe's most powerful weapon, and gave it straight to Superman Prime. A Green Lantern ring. I love it! It's so cool and perfect. This is everything I want in a ridiculous Justice League story. And this is the kind of shit the movies will never be able to do. Like, fucking movies, cartoons, no one will ever be able to pull off a story like this. This is only something you could get away with in a comic book. It's alienating as fuck. I'm almost glad I didn't read this when I was initially reading this run, because I bought Grant Morrison's Justice League before I got into monthly comics, when I was going through, standalone graphic novels and trade collections I heard were really good. And everything else in Grant Morrison's Justice League is super accessible. This is not. This is fucking whack. In the best way. You need a real appreciation of comic book, over-the-top, mythic, epic, ridiculous storytelling. And to give you a sense of what I mean by that, I want to talk about a story from Ancient Myth where Hercules diverted a river to clear a stable. Like, you had a stable that was so messy and disgusting and dirty that no man alive could ever clear it. And Hercules was given the task to clear it, and so you have to conceive of the biggest mess of a stable you can possibly conceive of, multiply that by a factor of 10, and then think of how to get rid of it. And so Hercules diverts a river, and not like digs a channel, turns the river to clear the stable. And that is the level of epic, crazy shit that you're dealing with here. And it's perfect and beautiful. One thing I skipped over, but I do really like as well, is as soon as the Justice League of the present is teleported to the future, Solaris has his plan all come together, and the character Our Man from the future has been infected with a virus that begins to spread and infect not only all of Earth, but all of Earth's people, but all of its technology as well. It's a techno-virus, spreading and causing all kinds of chaos and havoc on Earth, invading people's minds, and no one really knows what to do. And so you're left with this great moment, and I don't like Chuck Dixon very much, but he knows how to write. I'll give him it. I'll give it to him. He knows how to write well. Because I am giving Morrison a lot of credit, and Morrison wrote the best stuff in this, but you do have other stuff by other writers who I mentioned in the description. Dan Abnett, Chuck Dixon, Ron Marz, all James Robinson as well. So anyway, Batman 1,000,000 figures out what's going on, what the Our Man virus is, and he figures out how to solve the problem, because he needs to create a solar computer in order to calculate the results and get the things he needs in this time period. And so the only way to stop in order to destroy Solaris in the past, we have to create Solaris in the future. So the Justice Legion A in the DC Universe past has to create the worst enemy of human history. Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. It's so good. I love DC 1,000,000. It's too much fun. I can't believe I'd never read this before, and I'm so glad that I have now. It's cool as shit. It's just cool as shit. It's cool as shit. It's cool as shit. It's cool as shit. And I love it, and it's beautiful, and I love it because it's beautiful. There's a whole thing with Starman and this lineage thing that I don't really feel one way or another about. He betrays the Justice Legion, but then rejoins the Justice Legion because he was manipulated by Solaris, something, yada yada, dark side. The techno-virus, the Our Man virus, is actually the programming of Solaris, and so once the Justice Legion A creates Solaris, he sucks up all the techno-virus information to create his own programming, which is pretty cool. And then the Starman of the 853rd century has to sacrifice himself to get Solaris out of the system in the past, and then the Justice League of the present has to deal with Solaris in the future. There's also a story about Resurrection Man versus Vandal Savage that takes place in the future, which was kind of random as shit in here, but not bad. This is the one written by Dan Abnett. I thought it was pretty alright. You know, it was pretty cool. One thing I will say that I quite liked, just as a 3D modeler myself, these little catch-up things that tell you what's been happening in the books you're not reading in this collection come with a little piece of art that show you different planets in the future, and they did it in 3D. And so for late 90s 3D, I don't know, it's kind of cool that it made its way into a comic book. It's kind of crazy for me to look at that and go, yeah, I could probably do that. I could probably do that in, like, an afternoon. So, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. Like, I'm sure someone spent a lot of time working on that with the 1990s computers that they had, and I could probably pump that out in an hour or two. So, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. I think my favorite issue here is the Ballad of Solaris, I want to call it, where they talk about his history in relation to the Superman legacy, and I thought that was pretty cool. Get some really great art in this volume too. I really start to like a lot of the art here, like particularly look at Kyle in that. That's really good. you just get a lot of stuff that starts to work a lot better in here. Superman 1 million looks pretty cool here. I start to like a lot of this. This is beautiful. Oh, cool shit. Perfectly epic storytelling. So anyway, the rest of the Justice League go back in time, except Kyle Rayner, who stays to witness the return of Superman Prime from the Earth's sun. He recreates Lois Lane, and they get married as he's recreated Krypton. And then Green Lantern goes back to the past after getting a wink from Superman Prime, who's now in his golden form. And it's not even his final form. But yeah, this is really good. This is fun as shit. It's confusing as hell. It's just a mess and a half of convoluted, crazy, whack storytelling in comic books, and I love it. You could never do this anywhere else, and it's super fun in the best possible way, and I love it to death. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with Justice League 1 million. I do really want to go and see if I can find the just the DC Universe 1 million or whatever the other collection that's supposed to accompany this. I know they recently reprinted or did a recollection of Grant Morrison's Justice League run. I don't know if they did anything with 1 million within that or what the deal was. But if there's a different collection out there that does a better job collecting everything than this one, that would probably be the way to do it. I'd look up reviews and stuff, but if you find this, buy it because it's still fairly decent on its own. If you can find what I imagine has to be a companion collection of just DC 1 million, I'd suggest that. And then whenever you get to one of those catch-up pages, pages covered in ketchup, like everyone has in their comic books. Once you get to one of those, here's what happened pages, just go ahead and flip over to the other book and go back and forth like that. So, just do that. Like, here's another one of those 3D models. It's on the moon. It's of the Justice League Watchtower, which is kind of cool. Lighting's really poor in that one, though. That's a really real... They overdid it on the bump map on the moon there. 3D techno jargon for folks that care. Anyway, so yeah, if you find this, get it, and I'm assuming there's probably a DC 1 million collection to accompany it, and you just kind of have to go back and forth at catch-up points and maybe figure it out for yourself. Probably something that's more meant to have been read in issues. What can you do? Alright, everyone, that's going to do it for this episode of Comic Reviews. Thank you very much for... not Comic Reviews. This is Trade Talk. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Trade Talk and Comic Reviews. I had fun talking about this. This is a solid book. It's a lot of fun. Till next time, bye!
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.